Welcome back for part three. Mr. Stansfield's education videos. Holy cow, when cows fly. We're gonna finish up this project right here. We're gonna add a halo. We're gonna add to the God Ray effect, and then that's pretty much it. I think we're good to go. So we've created this layer here, this halo layer, and the next step is to create the halo. So on this halo layer, I'm going to go ahead and grab the elliptical marquee tool. If I click and hold here, if you have the rectangular marquee tool, it's the second tool down, you can just click and hold it and you'll get the elliptical marquee tool. Go ahead and just click and drag the size of the halo, what you think it should be, and then you can move that selection if you want to. If you just select right on the line there, you can move the selection if you want to. We're going to transform it and move it later, so I'm not too worried about it. The next step is to go to Edit and then Stroke. And we're going to stroke, let's try this here, 15 pixels, see what that looks like. And then the color here, we can actually change to yellow. We want to have a nice sort of angelic, that's more neon, but you'll see it'll look okay. A little bit too big for this. So you're going to actually just find a size that looks right. I'm going to go ahead and hit Command Z to undo, and then go back, Edit Stroke. And this time let's try 10 pixels, see what that looks like. It's still a little bit too big. Edit Stroke, we'll try 7 pixels. That's looking pretty good. You want to deselect, select, deselect, or Command D to get rid of those marching ants. And then you've just got this here on this layer. If I select the Move tool, I can grab that and kind of move it around. I can also hit Command T. We're going to free transform it. Remember, that's under Edit. I'm going to go ahead and rotate that and then center it over the cow's head. If you're getting this happening here where you're seeing pink lines and it's kind of snapping around and locking into places that you don't want it to be, I'd recommend doing one of a couple of things. First of all, if you zoom in a little bit, that will help. Command Option 0 to look at it 100%, and then that'll help you. The other thing you can do, after you click, you can hold the Control key down, and that will allow you to have a much smoother kind of thing. Now I'm looking at this and I'm realizing that the halo is a little bit too big, so I'm going to hold the Shift key, click and drag the bottom right corner up, and then move this right about there. I'm going to go ahead and click Enter on the keyboard. You could have hit the check mark up here at the top as well. We're going to go to FX down here at the bottom of the Layers panel, making sure we have the halo selected. Click on FX. And we're going to go ahead and go with Inner Glow. We're going to try a couple of things. We basically just want this to look a little bit more like a halo. Inner Glow, we're going to go ahead and bevel and emboss. Outer Glow, we're going to add all those things and just kind of see what the default is. If it's not working out, try some of these different things. The size, you can change the size, get some three-dimensionality, soften. You can go to that Inner Glow and change the size. You can make that kind of glow a little bit more. You can also go to this Outer Glow, create just a little bit more of a glow there. The other thing that I would recommend doing is actually copying that layer and getting rid of, on the background, actually get rid of the effects. So in this case, if you just double click on the effects, you can uncheck those. And then we're going to, on this background layer, actually delete the effects. There we go. On the background, the original layer, which is below, go to Filter and then Blur and then Gaussian Blur. So we're going to add a layer and then we're going to just blur it. And you can see what that does is just makes that glow just a little bit more, something like that. All right, next step is to add a lens flare. So in this case, we're actually going to click on Curves 2. And is that right? We're going to want to do the lens flare, not on Curves 2. Maybe. Let's go to Full Cow. Let's select Full Cow. And then we're going to add a layer and then fill it with black. So add a layer above Full Cow. We may end up moving this layer 3. We're just going to double click it, call it lens flare. And then we're going to fill it with black, edit fill, or Shift F5, and then make sure that the contents is black. Click OK. Don't worry. This right now it's just blacked everything out. We're going to go here, change normal to, I think, lighten or screen. Let's see. Maybe multiply. I think it's, let's try screen. Yeah, screen is what we want. So we're going to go ahead and add a lens flare and make sure that that's selected. That black layer is selected right there. We're going to filter and then render and then lens flare. And there's a couple of ways that we can do this here. I'd recommend probably this 105 prime. Click and drag the center of the light to roughly where you think that basically we're adding this lens flare to add kind of that angelic God ray coming down. So kind of where you think the top of that God ray right in those clouds is going to be, you just want to kind of add that in. So that's kind of centered there. And then you can change the brightness, something right around, something like this I think is going to look okay. So you can see here, we've just added that kind of spotlight right there. It's a little bit kind of off the mark. So I'm just going to undo and then go back in and do it again. So render lens flare. In this case, I think we just need to move it over to the right a little bit. You can also see that it's kind of scaling down this way. It's kind of diagonally moving that lens flare this way. That's okay. We're going to end up blurring it a little bit. So we click that right there, and that's kind of right where we want that lens flare to be. Filter, and then blur, and then Gaussian blur. And we're just going to blur that so that those circles are a little bit less defined. So still have the light coming up, but it's just a little bit blurrier. You know, you might have those circles in there. If you didn't want those, you could add a layer mask and then paint with a brush tool with black if you didn't want those there. But in this case, it's just lightening up that God ray a little bit, kind of making that more angelic. And then Command 0, we're just going to zoom out a little bit here. And I think we're done. Everything else is looking pretty good. So just to recap everything, your layers, let's go ahead and hit the Tab key and the F key, and then let's just view layers so that we can, or window, sorry, window layers, so we can see everything that we're looking at here. So your layers panel should look like this. Background, add the sky here in layer 1 with a layer mask, make a layer 2, add the shadow, add your cow after you do the assemblage in another file. Now we added this lens flare after the fact, and let's see what kind of difference when we add all the layers here. If we add that lens flare above the curves or below the curves, yeah, I think maybe above the curves, above the halo, at the top. It doesn't really matter actually where that is, so that's good. That doesn't really matter. So let's just look at that again. So the full cow, curves 1 is darkening everything, curves 2 is lightening, making that selection, bring that out, making sure that the post doesn't get hit with that. The lens flare kind of adds a little bit of the angelic there. Here's the blurred halo, and then that kind of adds a glow, and then the halo kind of there. I think we probably want to blur this a little bit too. I'm looking at it now. It's a little bit too defined. So we're going to go to Filter, Blur, the second halo, Gaussian blur, and just add a little bit of blur. Not much. Something like that I think looks just a little bit more normal. Well, there's nothing normal about this, but it looks maybe a little bit more accurate. Oh, I forgot. All right, so there is one more thing that we're going to do. And in this case, where do we want to do it? Let's go ahead and do it to layer 2 here. We can make a copy of layer 2, or we could do it right on layer 2. Let's just do it right on layer 2. That's fine. What we want to do is we want to add a little halo to our sign over here. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the Tab key to get my tools back, and then Command Option 0 to look at it 100%. Rectangular or elliptical marquee tool, we're going to go ahead and select a little thing right here, not much. Edit stroke, same thing that we did for the other halo, and this time we're going to make that color, oops, single click on that, make it black, click OK. And in this case we don't want many pixels, let's try 2 pixels, perfect. And then hit Command D or Select Deselect, and then we're going to hit Command T to transform. Oh no, that's stroke. Okay, so it's Command T is not going to work here, so that's okay. We could, if we wanted to, instead of doing it on layer 2, we would make a new layer. Let's do that. So I'm going to back up, undo, make a new layer, and then edit stroke, and then click OK. And let's call this layer. So with layer 2 selected, we would make a new layer, call it halo on the side, halo sign halo, something like that. Okay, and then deselect here. And then if I hit Command T now, I can rotate that and expand it a little bit if I wanted to. All right, that's looking good. And then maybe add, just if you wanted to add, well, that's probably enough, but if you wanted to add, let's try this, brush tool, get the brush tool, get a nice small brush with maximum hardness, so 100%, and then bring it down to, like, again, whatever we were at, like 4 pixels, 3 pixels, something like that. And if you just kind of draw, okay, something like that. You could also just draw your halo in if you wanted to. You can see it's a little bit tricky to get it right, but it just adds a little something to this That little halo there adds just a little something to this. Now I think we're done. So, if your layers look like this, you're in good shape. If you're missing anything, just go back step by step. And that is how you make cows fly.